The sounds of screams and gunshots filled the air as hundreds of thousands of zombies advanced on the small town of Serenity Springs. The townspeople had barricaded themselves inside their homes, but the relentless undead horde just kept coming. For days, the town had been holding out, but their supplies were dwindling and they knew that they couldn't hold out much longer. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the town as one of the zombies slammed into a wooden door, breaking it open and sending splinters flying. The townspeople watched in horror as the zombie stumbled through the doorway and began shambling towards them. But before it could reach them, a gunshot rang out and the zombie collapsed to the ground, its brains splattering everywhere. A man emerged from behind the door, wiping a bloody meat cleaver. "Get down," he said, helping an elderly woman to her feet. "It's clear." The woman nodded, her eyes wide with fear. Meanwhile, outside, the horde of zombies continued to grow. The townspeople had managed to kill off most of the fast ones, but now there were only the strong and the smart ones left. The ones that had learned to work together. They were systematically picking apart the barricades, and soon the townspeople would be running out of bullets. "We need more guns," the man said, looking at the dwindling supply. "And we need more food and water. We can't keep fighting like this." The woman shook her head. "There's nothing left in this town. We've already emptied every store and every house." She gestured to the shelves, which were bare except for a few cans of expired food. The man sighed. He knew she was right. They were trapped, and there was no way out. Just then, a young girl peeked her head around the corner. "Mister?" she whispered. "They're coming this way." The man grabbed his shotgun and nodded. "All right, everyone, line up at the windows. We'll pick them off one by one." The girl ran back to the other children and whispered, "Remember what I taught you. Only shoot if you must." The children nodded, their faces pale but determined. One by one, the zombies shambled towards the house, reaching out with their rotting hands. The townspeople took aim and fired, sending the zombies crashing to the ground. But for every zombie that fell, two more seemed to take its place, and as the hours passed, the horde just kept growing larger and larger. The man stood at the window, his shotgun resting on his shoulder. He could feel the vibrations of the approaching horde through the floorboards. It was like an earthquake, a relentless, shambling earthquake that would stop at nothing to devour him and his friends. Suddenly, a voice boomed from outside. "Stop! In the name of the law, I command you to halt your advance and to turn back from whence you came." The townspeople turned to see a man in a sheriff's uniform standing in the doorway, a badge pinned to his chest. The zombies stopped their advance and turned towards the sheriff. The man raised his hand. "I have a proposition for you," he said, his voice echoing through the silent street. "If you lay down your arms and surrender peacefully, I will guarantee your safety and give you a fair trial for your crimes against humanity." As if in response to his words, the horde began to shrink, the zombies melting away until there was nothing left but a few shambling figures at the edge of town. The sheriff lowered his hand and smiled. "So be it," he said, turning to leave. "Let the feast begin." But just as he was about to disappear from sight, one of the zombies lunged forward and sank its teeth into his arm. The sheriff screamed and fired his gun, but it was too late. The damage was done. The man watched as the sheriff stumbled back, his face drained of color. "He's bitten," he whispered, horrified. The woman put a hand on his shoulder. "It's all right," she said, trying to sound reassuring. "We'll get him some help." But even as she spoke, she knew that there was no hope. There was no cure for this disease. Once you were bitten, you were doomed. The only question was, how long did you have before you turned?